batting it pretty much into the end zone because he thought like it was a fumble, so he tried to recover it. I don't know the excuse, but McAfee was literally there to interview the guy who messed up the play right after. I loved it. And here's the clip actually from when McAfee was watching this play go live after Marquette King's beautiful punt.
4th and 4, the punting team will come on. Pat, do punters believe in momentum? I mean, Marquette King just boomed one last time.
Yeah, it's like get the rust off a little bit. He hasn't punted in a live game in a couple years. He had a couple misses, and then once you get that good one, you can really start feeling yourself. I'd assume he did another good one here from Marquette.
Yeah, Pat, that's great, but I'll be honest with you. If I'm St. Louis, when I played football, I didn't care how the punter was. We didn't even want to see the punter hit the field, and he's punted the ball way too many times if you're St. Louis.
This is another laser.
I concur, but whenever the wide receivers drop balls, you need a punter to save you with a perfect. What is he doing?
What in the world?
What?
Hey, Pat almost ran out there and downed it himself.
Oh, that was the perfect. Just stay off the ball. Just don't even touch it. Marquette just hit a perfect punt. Just don't even touch it, buddy.
Wow, and it went right through the wickets on Gerard Hurd.
First down from the 35-yard line.
What? And so it goes from inside the 1 out to the 35-yard line.
It's not often that you get to see a perfect. Troy Aikman's walking towards me right now.
How many times you see these special teams players? Just leave it alone. The ball's going to be on the half-inch line.
Amen. That's a voice of football.
Hey, look, Bo Harness hadn't got a chance to touch the ball.
That's Troy. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, I'm going to go talk to that guy that just ruined a perfect punt.
Do we have to pay for Troy's analysis?
Imagine that. Pat McAfee and Troy Aikman on the sideline. That was actually awesome. Probably the best highlight from that game, the Dallas-St. Louis game. Marquette King, rocket of a leg. He had great punting that day. So that was interesting to see. Electric by McAfee on there. All the commentators were better. Just takeaways, last takeaways from the XFL that I've seen. Everything looks harder in the XFL. They look like they throw it slower. They look like they're running harder and getting less separation. The ball looks like it's traveling half motion through the air. I mean, it looks like it's hard. It's hard for them. It just doesn't look smooth. And then another takeaway, the coaches were mic'd up, and especially in that first game, I think all eyes were on that first DC Defenders Seattle Dragons game. I think they got like 3 million viewers, or something like that. TV ratings were pretty good, much better than, I think they outscored the AAF by like 0.6 million on their debut. In the DC Defenders Seattle Dragons game, both coaches were mic'd up, but for about 75% of the game, they only were showing the DC Defenders coach mic'd up, and they allow us to tune into the play call. So they'll call the play, and their code words are pretty simple. So anyone who knows, I would probably say like a higher level of football knowledge would be able to decipher like what play is going on, because they'll basically and everyone, all the skill players on offense, so everyone but the linemen. Not saying the linemen aren't skilled; they're not taking any credit away from the linemen, but they don't have all of the players have radio signal in except for the linemen, so they don't need to huddle. Quarterback just needs to tell the line the protection. But other than that, us at home, we can hear like X right, Z slot, spider 2, Y banana, whatever. And like you'll hear plays like dagger, and they'll be like, yeah, like that's like a deep in cut over the middle, and just things like that. Play concepts too. So we can hear that, and we're curious, like, why don't the Seattle Dragons just have some guy listening to the commentary and then radio down as soon as they hear the play? So that seems a little unfair, and I'm like, oh my God, like we're literally only hearing the plays for the DC defenders. Then finally, like the last quarter or whatever, they finally started tuning in on the Seattle Dragons coach. So it's entertaining hearing everyone mic'd up. We get to hear the refs talk to each other on calls. So they'll be like, yeah, I saw like holding on 76, blah, blah, blah. And probably the best part, which the NFL will never do, is we got to hear the mic'd up connection between the referees and the booth upstairs. So the guy in the booth actually has an Xbox controller, and he's going through replay, fast forwarding, going back, and he has about 10 different camera views. And he's like, yeah, like it's too close to call. We're going to say stands on the fumble, and then on the touchdown on the return, his knee looks to be down, short of the goal line. We're going to stand with that. So, the ruling on the play stands as a touchdown. And then other times, like you just get to hear them go back and forth. They'll be like, so what do we have for down and distance? Like if the play is reversed here, we'll have it at the 32-yard line. We have to reset the play clock to this. So complete transparency. Really good job by Oliver Luck, who is the commissioner, I believe, of the XFL. NFL is never going to do that. We will never see mic'd up between the referee on the field and the booth upstairs. Could you imagine that? But you get to see a mic'd up experience between 345 Park Avenue and the referees on the field talking about whether something was pass interference or not, or whether something was a catch or not. They would never do that. They would never do that because they get so many of these calls wrong and everyone bitches about it. But it would be interesting to see the transparency because all the calls that were made, and we got to see the interaction whenever anything got sent to the booth, I didn't disagree with any of it because I'm like, okay, yeah, I get to see their thinking. What they said makes sense to me. That's good. Works for me. Never going to happen in the NFL. So XFL, I think, major success. Major success. And now we will have a interview with Joe Spinosa. And then after that, I'm going to get into the Jon Bones Jones fight, which I watched. Incredible. All right, here we go. Joe Spinosa. Joe.
Yo, what's up?
What's going on, Joe? How are you?
Pretty good.
Did you watch any of the XFL this weekend?
I did not. I watched the Celtics.
Celtics. How about the... how are the Celtics doing this year?
Celtics are currently at the third seed in the Eastern Conference, but pretty close to Toronto. Milwaukee is steamrolling the rest of the league at 45-7.
Wow.
Celtics are 37 or 38-15.
Okay. All right. From just a quick, I need to know, what is your favorite stat that you have created this year for basketball and who leads the league in it?
For basketball?
Yes.
So my two favorite stats are PER and true shooting percentage.
Okay.
And so I like taking points times true shooting percentage. It gives you a rough estimate of how the best scorers are doing efficiency-wise because it takes into account three-pointers and free throws. And that is James Harden leading the league to the surprise of no one. So I'd probably go that's my favorite one. But, I mess around with a bunch of different things and try to see who fits where as I analyze the league.
All right. Well, I need to get into basketball. I say that every time. I haven't been, and I don't think I will be now because I'm just obsessed with the XFL.
Well, all I'm saying is, the dynasty's probably at the end one way or another.
Ugh.
So, I don't know if you're loved, and, maybe depends on what team you get into, but a lot of exciting things happening in the National Basketball Association.
I mean, that's what they say. How's LeBron doing?
LeBron's great. LeBron is leading the league in assists. First time in his career, he's averaging double-digit assists.
Wow.
He's pretty much playing the point guard role. Lakers are the best team in the Western Conference. Anthony Davis is been a beast. And in the West, it'll probably come down to the two LA teams, the Clippers and Lakers.
All right, and that's basketball talk for you right there.
Yeah.
So wherever you want to start first, I'm going to let you pick. We got Brady to talk about. We have a lot of contracts to talk about, whether it's Mahomes, whether it's Todd Gurley, whether it's Brady Phillip Rivers news just came out recently too. Lots going on actually in the NFL.
Well, I mean, obviously we're New England guys.
Right.
Tom Brady, I still can't see him leaving. If you go to the Hulu commercial, he already announced that he wasn't retiring. So the I'm not going anywhere pretty much, I think, hints to the fact that he's probably not leaving New England. And I don't think Brady is that bad of a troll to the point where he would although I said this about Gronk, when Gronk did all the things, it hinted like he was coming with the Brady video, but I don't think Brady would do that to us, to his fans, to the people of New England. I don't think he's leaving. I really don't.
I would like to believe that as well. You know me, I think the whole Josh McDaniels thing is a good sign. If Josh McDaniels had left, I think everyone would be thinking the opposite, that he would in fact be leaving.
It's just weird being the more optimistic one in this kind of dynamic, because I'm usually always like, oh no, this, that. But, you know, I tell it like it is. I shoot from the hip.
Mm-hmm. So
Kraft will not let him go. Kraft is not going to let him go.
I agree that Kraft loves Brady like a son. We saw it in Deflategate. He had his back and was defending him to the bone, even though Belichick said in the press conference, I'll always remember it. I'm sure you do too. He said, I don't know. You'll have to ask our quarterback about that. You know, during Deflategate. And that was, I was like, oh man. And then with the, who was it? South the Wickersham report 2 years ago or something like that.
Yep.
Incredible.
On ESPN.
Yep. Those two, taking turns throwing each other under the bus. But Robert Kraft's always had Brady's side. I agree. But could you see a scenario in which, and I think it happens in the NBA a lot, whether it's LeBron going somewhere or you know, Durant, whomever, that Brady comes back to New England, but at similar timing, he comes back with someone, with a receiver?
Basketball, to your point, is a sport where one guy makes a world of difference, and that's not the case in football outside of a quarterback. You're not obviously going to bring in two quarterbacks.
Right.
Could that happen? Maybe, but nothing happens to the magnitude of a LeBron James joining Dwayne Wade, or Kevin Durant coming with Kyrie Irving, or whatever kind of superstar pairing. It doesn't work like that in football. Football is a limited transaction league relatively. You don't see stars changing places like you just saw Mookie Betts traded from the Red Sox to the Dodgers. You know, like that doesn't happen with football, because in a way, the point of the NFL is defend the shield. The shield is what matters most. I think if you took away the stars of basketball and had them play with replacements, the ratings would dip a lot more than they would in football, where most people only know the quarterback and maybe the receiver or running back and a few defensive players. That's what the casual fan knows. They don't see the players' faces. So that's why it's not happening as much in football. Could Brady say, yeah, I want to come with this guy? But who does he have a real connection with in the league who isn't already on the team?
I guess, and it's not a big name guy, but you've heard me say this before, Danny Amendola.
Yeah, but does that change life for this team? I know you're a big Amendola guy. I'm a big Amendola guy. He's going to be 35. He's never, production-wise, I know the grit and the intangibles in the playoffs.
Right.
I know. You don't have to relitigate that. But does he change your life? Does he make a 43-year-old Tom Brady? Is he getting separation in big moments? I don't see it.
So,
I really don't.
And the reason, and it could just be me living in a fantasy world, which honestly, yeah, I do most of the time. I probably live in a fantasy world. But you're right. Amendola he's not a guy that if you took Amendola and you took N'Keal Harry and you put them in the combine, you'd say, well, N'Keal Harry looks like he'd create much more separation and be much more dynamic than the Danny Amendola. Sure, Harry missed the training camp time, preseason, and then didn't come back, I believe, until week 8, and really didn't even get immersed until probably week 10 or something like that. So sure, let's see what a full season of N'Keal Harry looks like. But if I had said this to you too, you're telling me, yeah, what would a 34-year-old Danny Amendola do? What if I said to you, what would a Danny Amendola do in a championship game against the league's top-rated defense in the fourth quarter? You know, like, you know what I mean?
Here's my point. I'm going to steal from Brady haters, and I don't enjoy doing this. But this is what it comes down to. And I think that there is a lot of truth to what Max Kellerman says and Nick Wright says.
Oh, Nick Wright.
Nick
Wright's worse.